Good morning, Abraham. I have a couple of refining questions and then an experience I'd like to share with you for your comment. So, to start, as I've been practicing, for me, my practice became following the path of most allowing after a conversation we had about a year ago. And as I've been on that practice of listening to my feelings and discovering just moment to moment, what's the easier choice for me? What's the easier thought?
Choice meaning thought,
yes,
rather than action. Good.
Than action, yes. Just feeling better right now and relaxing into whatever the moment is that's with me. My whole frame of reference is shifting. I used to be a very linear planner, very organized, always on time wherever I went, planning year, and knowing who need to do what, when to get it done. And as I've been following this more moment-to-moment feeling of most allowing, that system doesn't apply anymore. Now I'm more like in a holograph of, I know what my intention is. I'm doing my best to be a vibrational match to my intention. And then life comes to me and I respond right here and right now. And as I was putting this question together in my mind to bring it to you today, this morning I had a perfect example of how this happens and what happens, and that will lead to my specific help I'd like to ask you for. This morning, we had some time between breakfast and coming in, so we went back to our room and I started going through my emails, and typically the person that I am, I would have been down here a half an hour early and in my place and ready to go so that I'd be here on time. And at about 3 minutes before the conference began, Alan, my partner, said, "Honey, it starts in 3 minutes." And I looked over my emails. I was totally engrossed in what I was doing. And I was like, oh, wow, 3 minutes. And I felt just a moment of anxiety because I didn't know if I'd be here late because I like to be on time. So I started giving myself, softer thoughts. I'm sure we'll get there on time. I know everything's okay. We're signed up. All the things that I could say to myself. And lo and behold, of course, we got here just seconds before Jerry rang the bell to pick out the evil ones. And I wanted to be here for that. And so what I would like help with is, it's a very subtle refinement, but I'd like for my ability to be relaxed in this more spontaneous movement of moment to moment, trusting the cues that the universe always gives me. Alan told me just at the right time, close your computer, we're going now. I'd like you to help me find that path just to that next step of softening and trusting so that I can bypass more of that moment of anxiety.
Well, you're amplifying the two approaches that we were talking about earlier as we talk about the science of deliberate creation and the art of allowing. Because the science of deliberate creation sounds a bit more like what you said you used to be, where you would plan way down the road. Mm-hmm. And the art of allowing sounds more like someone who intuitively follows the inspired whim and always ends up at the right place at the right time. And what we're encouraging is a marriage of the two. Let's say that you are anticipating a year down the road. You are anticipating that you'll be joyful. You're anticipating that you'll be healthy. You're anticipating that you'll be prosperous. There is a wonderful thing that happens when you project into your future experience because you send a rocket that the universe actually actualizes around. But what happens with so many of you when you think in terms of planning a year down the road or a week down the road, and we could feel it within you, you've been thinking that that planning was about what you were going to do, where what we want you to think in terms of is you're wanting to project your thoughts so that you give the universe plenty of time to get things lined up in the way that you think you would like them to be. Now, we want you to feel the hands-on of deliberate creation. We do not think that you, or most anybody who is deliberately creating, who is accustomed to being the creator of your own experience, would be very happy in just sitting back and following whims and not deciding. There is such power in decision. Those goals that you've been setting are a form of deciding. They're a form of lining up the energy. So then this comes back to what we've been talking about their step 1 and their step 2 and their step 3. Step 1 is the deciding factor, the asking for what you want, the telling it like you want it to be. Step 2 is the universal forces and all things that come into bringing that about. And then step 3 is the holding yourself as best as you can in vibrational alignment with what you are wanting.
Right.
Esther enjoys driving on the freeway and realizing that she has not been aware of any of the numerous billboards and signs until all of a sudden her attention is drawn to the one that is about the Flying J fuel stop that she has been wondering about, or the one that is about the Cracker Barrel restaurant that she has been wondering about. It is interesting how all she has to do when they get on the road is set the intention that in a couple of 100 miles we'll stop and get fuel, and in 3 or 4 hours we'll stop and get something to eat, and then she has no awareness of all of the things that pass until the thing that answers that is shown to her, and she has become so relaxed in it, as you were saying, that she is coming not to fret about it. But it doesn't keep them from setting the goal, and it doesn't keep Jerry from looking through the exit guide. In other words, it is interesting how often he will think he's pinpointed a place and it will be a different one that they stop at. In other words, the universe really is assisting you in getting whatever you are wanting whenever you are wanting it. There is no set right or wrong in any of this. As long as you have the goal of feeling good and the goal of lining up with what you are wanting, then there are endless ways that you will go about achieving it. And what we notice is that something will work for a while and then you'll find something else that works a little better. In other words, as long as you're remembering that you always want to feel good. And we talked about this before, that if you have something that you desire and you're sort of overwhelmed with all of the activity around it, then feeling good isn't pressing into more activity. Feeling good is backing off a little bit.
Right.
But if you back off into inactivity, that doesn't feel good either. And so if you've got your finger on the pulse of what feels best, then you'll always have the right inclination at the right time. There are those who would say, it's much better to be busy. And there are those that would say, my inspiration always comes when I'm not busy. And we say, no one gets to choose for you or for anybody else what the perfect formula or recipe is to get you to where you want to be. But we will tell you, you can't get to where you want to be and consistently not feel good. So then friends say to us, well, Abraham, if I did the things that make me feel good, I wouldn't go to work, I wouldn't make my bed, I wouldn't never cook another meal, I wouldn't clean my house, I wouldn't mow my lawn. There are so many things that I wouldn't do if I only did what I think feels good. And we say, well, you say that from your framework of overwhelmment, but we know how much you enjoy a home-cooked meal, and we know how much you enjoy pleasing your family, and we know how you adore your yard looking nice, and we know how much happier you are in your orderly home. In other words, the things that have come to you have come from your awareness of what you do want. But where you get out of balance is you find all of these things that you want, and you think that you've got to focus upon all of these things at the same time. So you make these lists of all of these things that you need to do, and then you get out of sync because you are asking too much to flow through you and through your attention at any point in time. So we try to ease you all, and specifically you here as we are visiting with you, by saying to you, accept that there are universal forces that are assisting you, and treat those universal forces as if they are a manager that you can rely on and depend on, and do more delegating of more down the road stuff and more interim stuff. Do your long range delegating to the universe. So say, universe, in 10 years, I want to be making $200,000 more than I am right now. Make that statement if that would be pleasing to you. Universe, in 5 years from now, I'd like to live in a whole other part of the country or in a whole other part of this city. Would you please get that going for me? And then don't put it on your list. Don't go out there every day and look for property. Don't beat up on yourself that you don't have the money to make the move. Delegate it to the universe, and today you tend with what's really on your list. And let plenty of what's on your list be about taking your walks and feeling good and listening to things that are funny and looking for things that feel good and spending time with people that make you feel good and perusing thoughts that feel good. In other words, make your list of things that please you as well as about things that you need to do, but delegate your long-range planning to the universe.
Right.
So that falls into the category of make a decision and make it right. So you get to say how much money you're going to earn. You get to say how your body's going to feel. When you see someone who is physically diminishing as they are moving through time, and you look at them and you feel that discomfort because someone very young and very vital keeled over with some undiagnosed heart thing, and it makes you feel vulnerable because if it could happen to him, it could happen to you. When that awareness comes to you, stop in the middle of that and say, wait a minute, I get to decide. Universe, I choose health. I choose vitality. Get on that for me, will you? Get that out there into my future experience and inspire me to the things along the way that will help me to rendezvous with that. But get on that for me, would you? And as you find yourself delegating more to the universal forces and taking more off of your immediate plate, you're going to feel greater and greater relief and more of those things. Like you said, your mate gave you the information that you needed. Mm-hmm. Esther laughs. She will have Magellan, which is guiding her, and it will have been loud enough that it was keeping Jerry awake while he was sleeping, so Esther will have turned it down so that it won't bother him. And then she will not realize that it's time for her to make her turn. And Magellan is trying to tell her, but she's got the sound turned off, and so she's not aware that it's getting time for her to make her turn. And in that moment, Jerry will sit up and say, isn't it about time that we are supposed to make our turn? Right. In other words, there are always resources that are there to assist you. And when you start accepting how blessed you are, how cared for you are, how well it is always supposed to turn out for you, then you stop fussing around and trying to bang things into place. You just accept that well-being is yours. Now, you've let go of this, but many haven't. There's a big piece of this that is stuck in so many craws relative to this, and that is, but if I don't micromanage my own experience, then who will get the credit for my success? Don't I need to suffer? Don't I need to work hard? Don't I need to make everybody aware of all of the things I'm doing? Don't others need to know how much I'm doing in order to justify the well-being that's coming to me? And we say, that'll get you every time. You've just got to stop that. You've just got to start saying to anybody that asks, I'm blessed, deal with it. Good things just come to me. I don't justify my well-being anymore. I don't work hard. I don't suffer. I don't struggle. I don't do any of those things. I am a princess. I'm a prince. Yeah. I'm blessed. Good things just come to me. It's the way it's supposed to be. You are too, say to them. You are too. Took me a while to figure it out, but now I've got it figured out. I don't struggle. I don't work hard. I allow the well-being that is natural to flow to me. And every time I get a good idea, I let everybody know what I'm wanting. In other words, I'm making plenty of plans. I'm just not in the trenches anymore.
Thank you, Abraham.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, indeed. We have enjoyed this interaction immensely. This has been co-creating at its best. We are always pleased at your willingness to chew on the same thing over and over and over again for the purpose of refining it and bringing yourself to a new place of knowing. We are appreciative of those who have been willing to sit in the chair today because while in some cases it felt like slow going, it was extraordinary achievement that we achieved here today. We do not think that you will ever again not understand the power and the value of your emotion and what it is telling you right here and now. And it is our desire that you leave here feeling glad for wherever you are, and however you feel. It's really time for you to stop being mad at yourself for where you are and being glad about where you're going. It's really time for you to start appreciating who you are and loving the focused environment in which you stand. It would not matter to us if we were talking to someone who had achieved all things but this one last thing, or whether we were talking to someone who had 100 things that were not complete, that were really important to them now. Our message is always the same. You are where you are, and where you are is just fine. But where you are will not last, and the way you choose to feel determines the direction in which you move.